Hello. Sorry about that. Hopefully, that won't be a recurring problem in this run. I don't actually know how much of my explanation of my setup got through, so I'll just give a quick summary. Maria in this version has two sub-weapons. The game doesn't actually set anything for the second sub-weapon, so you can load up a file with the sub-weapon you want to start off with, and then start a new one, and you'll have that sub-weapon. And with that, I believe we're ready. Time will begin when I gain control, which will be after the loading screen. And so that'll be... All right. So, time.
All right, good luck.
And that was that whole setup was just so I could have that dragon, so that I could get rid of that warg. And so this is Maria mode. Since she was added to the game about 10 years after the fact, at least that's my suspicion, they didn't really do much balancing, and so she has no invincibility frames for any of her movement, but she is a little bit faster. But she's also a little bit weaker, so bosses are going to be a bit slow, and I have to fight through everything that I can't avoid outright. But aside from that, route-wise, it'll be pretty similar to the Richter All Bosses run, if you've seen that before. I have actually never beaten the Clock Rush before, but I've also never lost to the Clock Rush, so I think it just says something about Maria's speed that I can be a bit clumsy about it and still have the clock open for me. But that's then there's the fact that the boss does take me long enough that I can't beat the clock, and I got distracted. So, but that's fine. Still managed to get through that okay. That's going to be the main strategy for most bosses, is summoning Suzaku and then throwing a dragon while Suzaku's throwing fireballs. And as I said, Maria has no invincibility frames for her movement, so and she also doesn't have a whole lot of health, so damage boosting is not really an option for the most part. So I just either have to avoid everything or kill everything in my way.
I think it's interesting that she can use owls in this game, whereas before it was like doves and rondo.
Yeah, that was apparently one of the planned upgrades, because like you see, if you look at her official art, she does is holding an owl on her shoulder. And she also has has forward and backward dash. Well, backward only she's on the ground, but that's slower. For some reason, there's a long cooldown while you're if you dash while on the ground. But they're tied to the shoulder buttons, so that means that they are a lot simpler. It's a lot simpler to do this with Maria than it is with Richter, who has to do a potentially controller wrecking movement to keep dashing. Maria's upward is also a little bit slower, but this is pretty much a time when we're using it most, so it's not that big of a deal. I can't really dive kick off of these guys, because then I hit the ceiling, and that has a lot of spikes. The next boss is going to be a bit rocky for a couple of reasons. For one, it's probably the hardest boss in the game for Maria, and the other thing is that during the transition to second phase, things will chug a little bit, and so if it looks like there's lag, don't worry, that's happening to me too. It happens when I stream this game. I'm sorry. But this is Orlok. He's a jerk. But as long as I can stay in his face, then he can't really do any of his worst attacks. and that took exactly 20 hearts, so I hit him as much as I could. Oh, that is actually pretty smooth. That's a pretty smooth transition, so that's fine. As Richter, you would just throw down a couple of Hydra Storms and be done with it, but as you might have noticed before, I came into this fight with 93 hearts, and now I'm down to 11. I actually had a little bit of extra than I strictly needed because sometimes Suzaku just won't hit enough, and then you just need to rely on the dragon. And if you don't have enough hearts for extra dragon, then you're kind of stuck because all you have left is your basic bird melee attack, and that does not do a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, routing in the heart seems to be extremely important in this run.
Yeah, it is. I play a little bit safely with hearts, but that's mostly just because there are parts where I know I need to spend most of what I have. So I just try to spend a bit, be a bit frugal with them, just so I make sure I have enough. Like, it would probably be faster if I used a dragon, but oh, I'm actually very low on health. This is but I just want to be sure that that I don't run too low for the coming bosses. Also, the dragon's locked to the screen, so unless I can keep up with it, it will just zoom off ahead of me. Like, it doesn't move with Maria. It just goes and it goes at a fixed rate across the screen. And so here's Hippogriff, who's only dangerous at low health, and I am at low health. Oh, and that was bad. I didn't save. So fortunately, we have backups. Wait, do we have back? I don't think I have a backup for Hippogriff. Do I? Oh dear, I do not. Yeah. So I'll. Whoop, that's the wrong file. I do have the closest backup I have is of Orlok. So this is actually a really hard run. I have not completed this boss without dying at least once. So we'll have to fight him again. Sorry about that.
At least it's like one boss away.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Olrock has a cool design, so neat to see him again.
He does, but he's also a massive jerk that takes way too many hits. Get back down here. You got to be a bit careful because oh dear, I a little bit off there, but that's fine. I should have enough. You do want to be in his face so that he just spends the entire phase jumping backwards and staying away. But you also don't want to get too close because he takes a lot of damage. And as long as he doesn't do his okay. He has a mouth laser attack that is very difficult to dodge and on screen enough for him to get hit. And it just gets very scary, especially if you've run into him a couple times in the first phase. Yeah, I want to be in the air as much as possible when I'm moving around because there's just this weird cooldown while she's on the ground. But it's a lot easier to chain things together when I'm in the air. And also, despite the death, I should still have plenty of time. I have like about 15 minutes of leeway with this estimate. So as long as everybody cooperates enough that I don't die, like maybe I expect to die maybe 3 or 4 times at most. Yeah, Guardian Knuckle is also in this. It's that sub weapon I just got rid of. It's only a sub weapon and only as an item crash, and it's not even all that good. So unfortunately, you do not get to see it much in this run. These are pretty much the only sub weapons we see in this run.
Yeah, it makes me sad that Guardian Knuckle isn't more useful in this game.
It's like I said, it's because it was just she was such a late addition to the game that I just don't think they really realize just how broken it was. Oh, and it's already dead. So that was a bit smoother. And now we're back to the run as normal. And of course, I would die on the boss as the last boss before I get to a good point where I can safety save, because I'm just gonna damage boost through him. It's okay if I don't kill him, but I just like to not do it just so I have less chance of dying. And then normally I wouldn't safety save here, but because this boss is a chump. But the problem is that after him is the clock tower, and clock tower, as is often the case in Castlevania games, can be dangerous.
Yeah, and in that space coming up, from what I remember, it's a very tight space, so you don't have much leeway to work around.
It's mostly just the fact that you got the gears to maneuver around, and well, after the next couple rooms are the gear rooms, but this room is fine as long as nothing too crazy happens, or if I'm off rhythm. Those two played nice. This guy is not playing nice because I wanted to avoid picking up that sub weapon, and couldn't get that extra heart pickup, so I'm actually down a bit more than I would like. But it should be fine. There are plenty of places they can get more. And that went, actually, aside from that little hiccup, that went very smoothly. But it can get very unsmooth very quickly, because that's how the clock tower rolls. And it's even worse in the inverted castle. Pop back in just to get the health refill. That could have been worse. I could have gotten shot and died in the bus. But okay, yeah, we're fine now. Sort of, I think.
Yeah, luckily Dracula is not short on candles at all.
It's the goth aesthetic that he has to maintain. saving here, and not because the next boss is scary, but because the armored flea men are. Go away. And Lesser Demon, he is also a chump as long as he doesn't do anything too crazy. And he decided not to be crazy this time, so that's good. I tend to pick up most of the health upgrades that the bosses drop, partly because they are a very slight upgrade, and partly because they are a free health refill. And when you don't have a lot of safe ways to get past enemies that are directly in your way, you kind of want to take as many health refills as you can. Ectoplasm, fortunately, does not hit much because if you were playing as Alucard, they would curse you, and that's more debilitating than any HP damage. But because I do not have status recovery stuff, Rhea does not need to worry about things like cursing. And here's Doppel 10, who, for some reason, only starts when I come in from that door.
Yeah, that surprised me with the loading from the left door.
And he jumped over the first dragon. Usually he doesn't. But, you know, marathon runs and all that stuff. That's one of the health upgrades I do not get because there's one right here. And also because it takes a long time for it to spawn. Anyway, the next, so Lesser Demon, Doppelton, and the next few bosses aren't really that much of a trouble, but I will still be doing some safety saves here and there just because the enemies in between the bosses are the bigger danger, really.
It seems like in most categories for this game, the movement in between the bosses is like the most important and can be sometimes the scariest.
Yeah, though there are still some bosses that are terrifying, even if they usually go well. And like, there are some bosses I'm tempted to say are free, but I think I've actually had to reset on all of them at least once. So, you know. But things should be fine. If I time the bird sub-weapon attacks right, I can just use it twice and be done with that bit. But I've only been able to do it on purpose twice, so... And I can't remember how I did it. It's one of those things where it's like, how did I actually do that before? And it's like, you never figure out, oh wait, I did not need to use that extra dragon, that's fine. I know in Richter mode, at least, there is a bit of an exploit that you can do to get out of there faster, but I don't actually know the timing for it, and I want that health upgrade anyway. A heartwarming successor to the beloved children's book, Frog and Toad are jerks.
Yeah, frogs and birds in Castlevania games, they don't exactly like to play nice.
You can kind of fly over them for the most part, going one way in this hallway, but it if it goes, then you take a lot of damage. And I don't want this run to be the first time I die in this room. So just play nice and safe, and he decided to throw his barrel early. He did it again. Jerk. Need to lure this guy over to the wood bridge, which is always waiting. Come on, come at me. And we're at 99 hearts, so we're back at an expected heart count. Taking another save here, not because of the boss, but because of everything after it.
Yeah, movement with Maria in the catacomb seems a bit troublesome, especially with like the more vertical rooms.
Yeah, the main thing is that... Oh, wait. There we go. Forgot to toss out that last dragon. A lot of it has to do with the fact that she is having to land after dropping, and if you dash, you can kind of cancel that dropping, but you also don't have a lot of room to maneuver, so you could dash and then end up not being able to do much falling, and then you have to move and then fall again, and then you're just back to where you started. Anyway, I'm at 62 hearts, which is exactly the amount I need to kill Legion. I really have to ask what was going through the translator's mind with this game, because how do you Legion's an actual word? It's not even an uncommon word, and yet he decided let's go with Granfaloon instead. Like, where did you get that? And Ukobak is not playing nice. This is fine. Suzaku and Dragons. And that's the last boss of the first castle. Now we just got to make back our way back to the top and flip everything upside down.
Basically, Castle 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yep. With less variety in music. And more aggravating enemies. That was bad, but we made it through okay. Ukobak is the real boss of the first castle.
I think Ukobak has annoyed me in every game it's been in.
It's kind of what it does. And in this game, they have way too much health, if you ask me. It's like they're tiny little critters. They should die in a couple of hits at most, and yet they can take forever to die. And so it's just like, well, you don't die quickly, so I got to avoid you. But you're also very annoying to maneuver around. I came into this room a little bit the last time we were here because we needed to activate that teleport. You have to enter a teleport to activate it, and if I don't activate it, then I have to climb all the way back up, and that would be slow. Making a pit stop here just so I can get more health and hearts, and we are not actually going to set foot in Dracula's room. As in, we literally do not set foot in there.
Yeah, why set foot when you can just air dash?
Especially since, as I recently learned, that you can actually jump out of air dashes pretty much indefinitely. I say as I mess it up twice in a row.
Yeah, I wasn't aware you could do that because Richter's able to do that out of his air slash, I believe.
Oh, really? Well, I can't chain together air dashes to save my life, and that's why I don't run Richter, so I wouldn't know about that. Oh wait, actually, yeah, we need to save here because after this boss is the inverted clock tower, and that which has the worst room in the game. But Darkwing Bat is not really an issue. He's just annoying to get a good hit on. Well, with the dragon, at least. With the bird, it's a little bit easy, but the bird's not quite as fast unless he's got that much health left. And this is a neat glitch. The Bomb Knights do not have invincibility on one of their arms, so as long as I can get a bird onto it, it takes scratch damage on every frame until it dies. I'm very grateful for that little oversight, because otherwise I would have to wait for them to throw the bombs and knock them back into them, and that's very slow. And do not like my health right now. I also do not like that I bonked right there. This is the worst room in the game. I have died so many times in here because these Cloaked Knights are absolute jerks. And one of them even survived. That's bad. Okay, but we're through, and as long as I don't get stun-locked by Medusa heads, which I didn't, then we're home free.
And luckily the save room is not far away after that.
Yeah. And then after that are the Stone Skulls, and Jackabones, both of whom are jerks when they work in pairs. Fortunately, they die in one hit, the Jackabones do, but... Sir, please calm down. All I gotta say is, I'm so glad that you never have to go into the library in the reverse castle. That place is bad. And so here's the creature. He has a big hammer. And he hurts a lot. Like about that much.
Creature is also trying Sonic strats.
Yep. If I were feeling gutsy, I could throw the dragon in the same direction as he's rolling and rack up a bunch of hits, but that almost guarantees that he rolls into me, and I didn't want to risk that. You might have actually. That's the other thing about using the dragon is you might have noticed I was moving back and forth during while the dragon was on screen, and like I said, it's locked to its position on the screen, not based on how Maria moves. So by moving back, I was able to keep it overlapping the creature for a little bit longer and get in a couple of extra hits. Which means that I also have to run back to him so that he swings his hammer instead of starts rolling around. Which means I run the risk of getting hit by the hammer. So it's a very delicate balance with the creature. And I throw the dragon because you should always respect the beam skeletons. They are very formidable opponents and do not like it when you ignore them.
Yeah, they want to be noticed. That's why they have such a flashy move.
And so the next boss is Doppel40, who is a jerk not because he's hard, but because he's the boss most likely to cause a glitch with the dragon that makes me unable to use that. If it happens, means I cannot use any more sub weapons until I leave the room, which in a boss room means when the boss is dead, and that's bad. Basically, there's a window when I input the command for summoning the dragon, and when the dragon actually shows up. And if I get hit in that small window, then the game is still waiting for the dragon to despawn, but it never spawns in the first place, and so it's stuck. So I just gotta play keep away so that there's always enough space for me to throw dragons safely, and that's also why I try to hit it with the owl before the dragon, just so that he doesn't try to do anything funny. So that was actually one of the smoother Doppel40s I've had in a while, which is surprising because commentary is hard.
I'm still kind of surprised that Doppelganger just doesn't copy Maria's image, that it's still Alucard.
Yeah, but probably just because they would have to make a responsive AI to that follows Maria's actions and abilities, and that would be a lot. The Blue Venus Weeds have way too much health, but fortunately they're hilariously weak to fire. And Rock Knights have a similar issue with their arm that Bomb Knights do. So I should have saved after the Doppel40.
I think the sound effect after you hit the Rock Knights is my favorite part of the run.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of Gaibons who are very good at stun locking me, but they were actually very nice this time, so I were able to get into here without complaints or threats or stun locks. They don't do much damage, but they don't really need to when there's 4 of them all raining projectiles on you. And that's where we would have fought death if we were Alucard, but he decides not to bother with Marie and since we're on the way to Galamoth, I should probably talk about him and the fact that he's kind of a grind. Basically, there is no fast way to kill him as Maria. I'm going to try to go in there with as many hearts as I can, and I will be using them all. But at most, I'll only be able to take out about 3/4 of its health, because it has 12,000 HP, and most of my attacks just don't break 100 at once. When I use the bird sub weapon, I can hit him 3 times per use. And that does go over 100, but it's still, not enough to really kill him very quickly or efficiently or easily. So we're going to be there for a while. Because the other thing about him is that he's very hard hitting because he's supposed to be the super boss, and if I can't sunlock him, I really don't know what to do. It's basically it may as well treat it as a death, no matter how much health I have.
I think Galamoth is one of those bosses that you never forget the first time you faced him.
Or
maybe that's just me.
Well, the first time I faced him, I just used the shield rod, an Alucard shield.
Oh, I was not aware of their duo at the time.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing that you don't really find out about normally, and that's why it's a good idea to make a lot of backup saves. So this is back to the Gaibon room, but yeah, as long as I go in with at least 66 hearts, I can use the bird sub weapon to take out half of Galamoth's health relatively quickly and easily. But and with 99, I can take out about 3/4. But after that, it's just several minutes of cherry tapping him. And these bats are jerks.
It's neat how you can get more hearts out of like re-grabbing these sub weapons that drop on the ground.
Yeah, but you got to remember that it has to be it has to be the one in your second slot. So that's why I had to pick it up a couple times. I mean, if that's the main downside with having 2 sub weapons, is that you kind of have to keep that in mind, and that's a lot of tight spaces. It should be fine. I just have to not get hit. Like I said, I need to not get hit. Oh dear. Air dash is failing on me. Because she's frozen, she is also hilariously weak to fire, so, you know, as long as I can actually get a clean hit, it's not a problem. Oh dear. I do not like this. Trying to be as safe as possible. There we go. And safety save here. This is, and once again, if I can't keep Galamoth sunlocked, I cannot beat him. I just do not know what to do at that point. Oh, and he's not playing nice. So like he needs to turn around and immediately start getting hit in the head, but he decided not to do that, and so we gotta retry and hope he plays nice this time. I've had him be uncooperative like 10, 12 times in a row, and I lost 15 minutes because of it, and I whiffed.
It is cool though that you are able to stunlock him though.
And very much a relief. Okay, I'm just not going to talk while I'm at the first part.
In an odd sort of way, it almost looks like Galamoth is laughing during the whole thing.
And I would laugh too if all my opponent had to do was mess up once and was very error prone. Normally by this point I would probably just reset the run. But today we're going to press forward. And now I just gotta keep mashing the attack button and wait for him to die. You'll know we're close when the music finishes this loop. But yeah, this is pretty much where Maria loses the most time versus Richter. I mean, she's constantly losing time just for all the stopping she has to do. But whereas Richter, you can just use the dagger item crash a couple times and be done with it. This is a 4 or 5 minutes struggle with your attention span. And because of the constant subtle movements between Galmoth and the owls, I can't really consistently hit his horn, which is his weak point. But as long as I can space them out just a little bit, I can usually hit it more often than not, and that'll speed things up significantly. Well, as significantly as you can. Because I don't think we want to see me whittle him down 1 health at a time the entire time. And as long as I'm getting out of here at around the 45 minute mark, then I should still be I should still have enough time to finish the run underestimate.
And thankfully, Maria's bird attack seems to be about as quick as it is in Rondo, which is pretty quick.
Yeah, it's just you don't want to be. It's just like I said before, you don't want to be too quick because then you're not hitting the horn.
All right, nicely done.
Thank you. Another time that I don't really stick around to get the health upgrade because at that point I just want to be out of that room. And save again there, just in case I take too many hits to the face with a giant block of ice, like that. And that's why I don't get those the first time through. I did not mean to jump there. Yeah, sometimes that candle just doesn't spawn, and I don't know why. It's fine though.
Do those witches always throw out skulls in this version instead of cats?
They can throw out cats. I don't know how to make them throw out cats. I haven't really stuck around to really figure out what does or doesn't trigger which attack. I guess it's if you're far on the ground but also far away. That's just a wild guess. And this is the only time you see if I can get the input right. The only time you see Maria do a forward tackle, but the controller is very finicky, so I might just I'm just gonna drag my way through it, which is probably faster, but it also doesn't cost. It also means I can come out of here with a few extra hearts, but this is still fine. And next is Maria, who, for some strange reason, has her own unique. Did I say Maria? I meant Medusa. Who, for some reason, has her own unique boss music. Not that I can ever hear it over her getting her butt kicked. Oddly defined butt. That's another one where you just stay up in her face, and she usually doesn't do anything too terribly threatening. Oh. Just wanted to jump over that one, but that's fine. There's a health refill right here, which I normally don't get, but you know, we're playing extra safe today.
Yeah, and very nice that it's not too far out of the way.
I want to know who came up with the flying zombie in this version. I don't mean any harm. I just want to say a couple of things to them. And here we have the mummy, whose name I can never remember, who is undead and therefore hilariously weak to fire. And takes forever to die.
Yeah, whenever I've done that boss fight, half the time I think something's wrong with my game with how long it takes for him to die.
Yeah, and it's just like, why were you all so impressed by that effect that you just really wanted us to see it? I guess I can't be too mad at him for that. I can sympathize, but still. Got to be very careful around that torch there, because it drops a turtle, and I do not want the turtle. But if I accidentally pick it up, I get surrounded by zombies and subsequently die. And here is the one point where I will be grinding up for hearts, because this is another one where I need a lot of them, because I'll be dumping pretty much all of them into the fight. And it's a very terrifying boss if I give them a chance to do anything. I mean, they still end up doing stuff, but Also, these minotaurs are very scary. Like, there's a save point nearby. I don't go for it because I don't know how to get back into the hallway very safely with these minotaurs around them, standing around.
Also, nice job on the imps room, because that room can be very scary.
Yeah, it's very fortunate that the bird just takes them all out in one clean swoop. Before I found out that what I'm doing here fairly consistently takes out the fake Sypha and Grant, this was the scariest boss for me because it was just so far into the run and had a very awkward place to make a safety save, and things just got really crazy once things started going off script. But fortunately, unfortunately, I'm at the point where I can just do it fairly consistently, and that's really all you can ask for at this point. Oh dear. Oh, this is very bad. Okay. You remember that sub-weapon glitch I was talking about during Doppel 40? That Minotaur just did it. I could not use the dragon anymore. So I had to leave and come back. Which means I have to spend even more hearts, but that's fine.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that was even a glitch that could happen in this game, but that's scary. It can happen in places other than the Doppel 40 fight.
Yeah, it's not about. I mean, it's just the one that's Doppel 40. It's happened to Doppel 40 is just when it's happened to me the most. But any enemy that's fast enough to hit you before the dragon actually comes on screen is capable of it. And it's just Doppel 40 is also one of the worst ones for it to happen, but I guess Galamoth, who would also be pretty terrifying, but if Galamoth is able to get an attack off, then it's already over. Anyway, 2 more bosses left. First is Beelzebub, who, being undead, it has a weakness I've mentioned before, and is very hilariously weak to it. So first, we're going to put his feet to the fire.
I guess you could say he was toasted.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, we're fine. We're fine. And for some reason, you have to do it in... that strat only works if you do it in that order. For some reason, it just doesn't do enough when you when you Suzaku him in the face first. But... And weirdly enough, Ukobak is a lot more cooperative in this hallway than, despite having even less space to maneuver in. Go figure. Last fight is Shaft's ghost, who for some reason is still around, and I have to be careful in this room because the game doesn't do a very good job of telling Maria to stop for things like cutscenes, and so it's very possible to fall into that middle hole while the clock is doing its thing. And if you do that, then you're soft locked, because once you come back in, because it interrupts the cutscene and it has to making it start over again. And you try to come back up, but then it immediately starts it again, and it's just you can't really do anything except reset. But yeah, Shaft's Ghost, for whatever reason, is still around in this game. And in my PB, this is the only time I die, because he has a lightning attack that is very difficult to really avoid getting hit by, and it's pretty much the only time I can use any. Maria has any window of using invincibility frames, because you are invulnerable for the first second that that an item crash is being executed, and that's just enough to avoid getting killed by the lightning attack every time. Oh god, that's bad. That is not an item crash we want to see, because it doesn't do any more damage than the dragon, despite being an item crash, and it doesn't even hit all that many times. It like hits once or twice, and then it goes off screen. And it's like, thanks for costing 50 hearts.
Yeah, I was surprised how similar it looks to the dragon item crash in Rondo.
Yeah, but that's probably actually worth using at least once, but in a casual playthrough, if nothing else. I don't even like this calling something a casual playthrough, but oh dear. Okay, we're fine. Oh dear. Talking and fighting is hard. Sorry about this. We're right at the end, so time will be coming up on the last hits on Shaft. Probably cutting it fairly close, a lot closer to the estimate than I would have liked, but it should still be underestimate. Oh wait, no, that's not the subway I want. Oh wait, I should have waited. Oh wait, no, time.
GG.
It's a lot rougher than, like I said, was a lot rougher than I like. But what was my time?
57:26.
Yeah, it was about with as many deaths and quits I had to do. That was about as good as you can hope for. If we were to look at the save file, it would probably say something like 45 minutes, and that's just how costly deaths can be. But I guess this is a really hard game, and I have not beaten a run without dying at least once. So either I don't know if that says more about the game's difficulty or my ham-handedness, but no one else runs this category, so I'm the world record holder by default. Hey. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for coming. Hope it wasn't too terribly embarrassing. And let's see, what do we have next? We have La Mulana Remake next, so stick around for that if you like. Yeah, that's about all I got.